I was speaking earlier about Kevin Samuels, the Kevin Samuels phenomenon, and the camera died on me, or didn't die on me, but I actually ran out of space. So I had to make some deletions to provide more space for myself. It ended on on a sort of abrupt point, but I was sort of winding down at that stage anyway. But I was also in the middle of making a point, which was that, I was talking about how Kevin Samuels was and is unsparing, and really, he's not angry, or he doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't rant and rave, but he really lets it be known how he feels. And I was saying that I want to make it clear I'm not in favor of just going after people who say are overweight. If there's an overweight woman, I don't want to just say, I don't think there's anything good about just attacking her or making fun of her, or an overweight man for that matter, or anyone who's got any kind of flaw, or anything that displays evidence of a particular kind of addiction, or I don't know, not having it all together, because nobody's got it all together, and I sure as hell don't myself. I think what makes Kevin Samuels palatable to me and to many others is that he's not just tracking down fat women and telling them that they're too fat, but he's having them call his show and talk about how they're tens, and how any man would be lucky to have them, and just showing themselves to be completely entitled and deluded, because that's what our culture today tells women, that you're fine just the way you are. You shouldn't have to change anything about yourself. Any man would be happy to have you. Any man should be happy to have you. It doesn't tell men that. By no means does it tell men anything like that. But women get that kind of coddling all the time. And it's not good for them. It doesn't help them. It doesn't ultimately result in their happiness. And I think a very strong case can be made that someone like Kevin Samuels is needed to help women see through this kind of self-empowerment gone awry, the sort of female empowerment, you go girl mentality gone awry. It's one thing to give people encouragement. It's one thing to tell people that they have intrinsic worth because they're God's loving handiwork, or whatever, however you want to look at it. If you don't want to put it in a religious framework, that's fine. But that's one thing. It's quite another thing just to say, as so many of these women do who call Kevin Samuels, that they're entitled to so much more, and that men just aren't cutting it, that men are just letting them down constantly, left and right. And they're not calling in and saying, my man beats me. They're not calling, the ones that I've heard. I mean, I have not heard any, stories of abuse. I've not heard the sort of standard, I guess, what might be feminist boilerplate, that women are just being beaten up and raped and kicked around all the time. And, to the extent that women are being abused, men are being abused too, of course, but to the extent that it's happening, then that's not to be excused by anyone. And rape is not a good thing either. But I really have to say that, don't I? Rape is not a good thing either. I think what I wanted to just remark about with Kevin Samuels is, again, that in some ways he is at the very tip of the spear, because what may be said about the effect of modern society upon modern women, it seems to for some reason to have taken in a particularly egregious way amongst many, but not nearly all, but many prominent black women. Or it's being this whole wet ass pussy, show your body on stage, Cardi B kind of stuff. And it seems like that particular demographic is being used in a particularly egregious way. And it seems like for them, it takes this manifestation of lacking any subtlety. And that's part of the point that I also made in my why are there so many black MGTOW men video. That, again, I think this is it's not something that I want to say is a characterization of this whole type of people, okay? But it is something that you find in a lot of prominent cases. It is something that we are being shown. We're being shown the Cardi B types of black women, and we're being told that they are good, that they are to be emulated, that they're strong, powerful women, and it's good to be a BBW and all of that. And obesity is not even seen as a bad thing. It's like there's something evil about you. There's something wrong with you. You're just too judgmental if you see an obese woman and think to yourself, she shouldn't be obese. That's not good for her. Why are so many of them obese? What's going on? So again, this kind of phenomenon is highly represented. To what extent it's the reality, I'm not claiming that it is the reality of that if you pluck a standard woman of this demographic, or of any demographic, that they will be expressing these kinds of pathologies. But I do think that this hypergamic, this malignant hypergamy, as I've called it, because there's a kind of hypergamy that's just normal, and of course you want, if you're of the fairer sex, you want to find someone who will have the goods to be able to take care of you, and of course you're gonna see things that way. But it gets out of hand when you just can't ever commit to anyone, or you can't just say to yourself, well, what he makes is good enough because he cares for me and protects me, and he's good with my children and he's a good man. That's when it gets to be a problem. But somehow, for some reason, it seems like, and I think this is part of the point I was making in that video so long ago on that channel, in a galaxy far, far away, because it went to wherever videos go that get nuked by YouTube. That's the realm where it now dwells. But in that video, I kind of made that point, that for white women expressing hypergamy, it's a more subtle thing. It's seen as tacky to just be too upfront with it most of the time. With this particular demographic, it all too often seems to be the case that it's just like, front and center. It's just like, you not good enough for me, and so forth. And so Kevin Samuels is there to meet this problem, where at the very tip of the spear, where it's happening most flagrantly, and I think is being engineered to a great extent, to a large degree. Now, of course, it's not just affecting black women. I might just have to record a video about this, although I don't know if I want to or not. But it was just drawn attention to me, this very prominent case of this couple who had 3 children who were religious, a seemingly nice young Christian couple, and the wife suddenly decides that she wants to experience new things, so she calls herself queer or bi, but she really just wants to go out and leave her kids behind and have sexual adventures. And this is all prominent. This is all right out there for the world to see. The couple even recorded a video together, and the man was right there sitting next to her when she was saying these things, and just sort of nodding along and acting like, being supportive. And this is a white couple, so it is by no means limited to any particular race. But it is very interesting to see, and I think it speaks to something more universal right now, to see Kevin Samuels speaking with these very spoiled, very entitled, very these women who just don't think they're getting what they deserve, and who have these kinds of demands that are just not realistic. And again, ultimately, they're not going to be happy. And that's the whole point. Back in, not to get too rambly here, but back in the short video that I made, where I said the sexual revolution was a malignant lie. Yes, it makes men miserable. Yes, a lot of time and effort have been expended by me and by others to expose how the sexual revolution has left the broad swath of men in a much worse place than they were before the advent of the sexual revolution. But we have to see that it applies also to women. And I know that some men are so embittered right now that they don't even care. And I'm not saying everybody ought to care. I'm not saying, I'm not demanding that everybody care, but I am saying that men are not the only casualties, that women who are constantly told about their inherent wonderfulness and how they don't have to do anything. They're already wonderful, so they should just be able to do whatever they please, and the men in their lives should still worship the ground that they walk on. Well, that doesn't make them happy. It doesn't make them happy to be married to someone who worships the ground that they walk on. They despise men like that. They look down on men like that. They see men like that as not real men. And so they flock en masse to someone like Kevin Samuels, and try feebly to convince him that they are all that, and he just very clearly exposes to them that they are quite simply not all that, not by a long shot. And he doesn't do it, I don't think, out of malice. Although, again, there is something cathartic about it. Without question, there's something enjoyable about it. It makes me recall Dr. Laura Schlesinger, whom I enjoyed. I was a big fan of back in the 90s when she was on, when she had her radio show. There's certainly somewhat of the same vibe with Kevin Samuels, even though, he's a little bit more raunchy and a little more, I don't know, he's not quite, I wouldn't say he's quite the upstanding family man, that Dr. Laura was the family woman of, but nevertheless, there's something about the fact that that with Dr. Laura, you heard people call her up and talk to her, and you were wondering why are they talking to her if they've already made up their minds, if it's already clear that they don't like Dr. Laura's morality. They don't like the principles that she stands for. Why are they calling her and trying, and she tells them, and then when they try to argue with her, she just says, well, you asked for my opinion, you called my show. The same thing happens with Kevin Samuels. It's like, you called to hear what I think. If you think that everything is going well for you and you're gonna be okay, and you're a 10 at age 44 with a single mother with 3 children and 190 pounds, 5'3", then you just go with that. That's what he says. Like, why do you need me? Why do you need my approval? Why do you need me to agree with you? That's like they try to argue with him, but what they really want is to be directed back onto the straight and narrow path. Otherwise, why would they be talking to him in the first place? There's something in us that innately, I believe, wants to be corrected when something in us knows that we're wrong, knows that we've been fed a bill of goods. I mean, women must know on some level that all of this business about their inherent worth and the sisterhood and girl, you just too good for him. He better give you a good diamond ring. He better give you a sapphire, girl. All that stuff. They've got to know on some level when they look in the mirror, and think to themselves, am I really who I'm cracking myself up to be? Or am I really who they're cracking me up to be? So that's what I think someone like Kevin Samuels, even if, I don't know, I think maybe he's just doing it for kicks, but he really is touching on something that is in desperate need of being addressed. So I wish him well, and I hope that his message spreads. Thanks for watching. My name's Andy Nowicki. You can check out my work at altrightnovelist.com.